again, everybody. This is just us chopping it up. Welcome back to another edition of 15 Good Minutes. Coach B here with the fellas. Freddie, how are you, man?
Low energy cycle, man. Low energy cycle.
Y'all have to bear with Freddie. He's on day 2 of back to work. LB, what's up, buddy?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thank you.
Good, too. What we're going to do today, we're going to hop right to it. I know everybody's talking about it. The NCAA tournament is in full play. This episode is going to release early. What we're not going to do today for our audience, though, we're not going to pick our winners yet, although we do have thoughts on that. We are going to just break down the 4 regions and give you our take on who we think will go to the Sweet 16. There's been an awful lot of basketball played. The conference tournaments I thought were extremely lit. A lot of buzzer beaters and stuff like that. We covered the MEAC and looked at the A10 as well. So there's been a lot of basketball in the last week. Before we get started, speaking of that, I want to say again, congratulations to Coach Ward and the Largo Lions and that whole family, the administrators, the coaches, the parents, the players. They won another state title this past weekend. They've been there 3 years in a row. And, I mean, they lost the first one by a few points, won last year, and then won again on Friday. And I don't know where, obviously where all the different folks from the audience reside, but in this area, to be such a small school, and I mean, it's a 2A school, and the the number represents population. So it is a small population, 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4. To get there 3 years in a row is a major accomplishment. To win 2 in a row as a public school, no scholarships, no scholarship athletes. Job well done. I think it speaks to the culture there at Largo. Big shout out to young Cam Ward on an amazing career at Largo. We had a chance to spend some time with him after the game. He finished the year as the all-time leading scorer in Maryland State history for public school.
Wow. Okay.
There is a link. I'll put it in. Recently, there was an interview done, like 2 days ago, where they found the guy from 1981 and Cam, and they did an interview with both of them to talk about Cam breaking the record. It was a super accomplishment. Also this year, as well as last year, county champion, state champion, just a really good kid. He's going to be moving on to Michigan State. Coach Izzo has made multiple visits to Largo over the course of the year. He's got a good one coming, and we're glad that Cam is part of the 15 Good Minutes family. So congratulations to Cam, the other Largo Lions, the coaching staff, family, and administration. So
congratulations.
Go ahead.
I say congratulations to them. Well,
yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Wonderfully Excellent is traveling. I think today he's in Mississippi. So we don't know when we're going to catch him back. I did catch him on a meeting at work today, but it's not, it doesn't matter because I pretty much told him in the email earlier, this is not his area. He wouldn't weigh in like you two. So what I want to do basically is take a look at these 4 regions and have you guys tell me what 4 teams you have coming out of them. So I'm going to do it by region, then by person. LB, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to start with the South region, right, where Auburn is the overall 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about who you see coming out of the South and why.
Okay. Well, to start us, I do not have Auburn coming out of the South. Yes, because I'm sure you all know this. Most people, well, if you pay attention to this stuff, you know this. And this is very, I'm not the most researched guy, but I did research a little bit. Auburn has lost 3 of their last 4 games coming into the tournament.
I thought it was 4 or 5, but it's definitely,
what's the name has lost, Alabama has lost 3 or 5, and Auburn's lost 3 or 4 for the last 4 games. So I'm not counting on them to make it out of there. I have Louisville coming out to that bracket, making it to the Sweet 16. Just because I don't have any faith in Auburn. I like the one guy for Auburn whose name I can't call. He looks like he reminds me facially. He reminds me of Brooks that plays for Memphis.
It's Johnny. Johnny's his first name, and he spells it awkwardly. But Broom, I think it is, right?
Broom. Yes, something like that. Yeah, him. I like him as a player. I like the games that I've seen at least. But I have no faith in him making it to the Sweet 16. In the next bracket below that, I had Michigan coming out, but then I changed my mind and put Texas A&M coming out of there. And that's just with no research at all. That's just my.
Yes, you
I had to pick somebody, so I had to pick somebody, so I did. Next bracket down in the South, I have Ole Miss and Michigan State coming out of those, making it to the Sweet 16. Michigan State, of course, we just talked about Kansas be there next year. They're Tom Izzo. You got. If I can't bank on the team, I can bank on the coach. So I'm hoping and thinking that Tom Izzo gonna have his team ready to play, and they'll make it at least to the Sweet 16.
Fair enough. Freddie, sticking with the South. What 4 teams you got coming out?
Caveat. And I'm going to get to that. 14. I'm serious. I have a caveat. So I have Auburn. I have Michigan State. To your point, LB, you can't depend on the team, but you depend on the coach. With Michigan State, I love Tom Izzo. I think he's one of the best coaches. But to me, he hadn't gotten it done consistently enough over the years. I picked Michigan because they won the Big Ten, tournament, and I think that they're riding a little bit momentum. And so then my 4th spot, and then this is all contingent on tonight. I picked Iowa State / UNC, and the caveat is if UNC beats
San Diego
State tonight, they match up with Iowa State on Friday or whenever it is.
Correct.
I think UNC can beat Iowa State because I think UNC has been thrown through the mud with the governor. Well, I say that from my eyes, got something to say later. But the governor of West Virginia, or whatever the case may be, Stephen A. Smith, Seth Greenberg, everybody's throwing UNC, and I think Hubert and Rusty knows this. I have been critical of UNC and Hubert Davis all year, but I think they've heard it. They figured out some things, and I think that if they beat San Diego State tonight, they will beat Iowa State and make it into the second round.
Okay, I have one follow-up question for you, Freddie.
Yeah.
On Auburn, do you think one of the reasons I picked against them was because their confidence, losing 3 or 4 going into the tournament, that their confidence might be wavering? You don't think that's an issue?
The SEC is the premier conference in college basketball right now.
Yeah, the South is tough for me because 3 of my favorite programs are in the same region. But so to your point, Freddie, I got Auburn advancing. I've actually got UC San Diego as my 12-5 upset in that round. I think they're going to take Michigan out. I also will go with Carolina if they get the W. If they don't, it's going to be Iowa State. My 4th one is probably the toughest. I am going with Sparty and Michigan State, but I know Shaka, and I know the type of year that they've had at Marquette. That's a tough game that they're going to have against New Mexico. But that matchup, if it comes down to Marquette and Michigan State, it will be a tough one. But I think that Michigan State gets out of that one. LB, we're going to go back to you now. Moving over to the East. Talk to me. Who you got coming out of the East? Your 4.
Right. East, I got, of course, Duke. I got Arizona, VCU, and St. Mary's. So obviously I got upsets in there. Again, Alabama, loser of how many I said there? They done lost 3 or 5. And so I got an upset. I got St. Mary's upsetting them coming out of that bracket. I got VCU just because I want some upsets. So that's why I picked my upset coming out of there is VCU over I got VCU over Wisconsin coming out of there to give them my Duke, Arizona, VCU, and St. Mary's.
That's a good call, man. I think that VCU Wisconsin game, you're talking about 2 teams that's smoking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. I'm gonna be interested to see how that goes. Freddie, who you got out of the East for just the 4 teams that are coming out, Sweet 16 bound?
Sweet 16 bound, I have Duke, obviously. I have Bama. And then I chose Wisconsin. I think they did very well in the Big Ten tournament. And then Oregon. I forgot who they played the other day. I was watching, but Oregon.
Fair enough. And it's funny, like I tell you about some of my favorite teams are in the South. Some of the teams I hate the most are in the East. The 1 and the 2. But I have to I have to put those aside right now, Freddie, because I don't like Duke and I don't like Alabama. But Coming out of the East, I think Duke does get to the Sweet 16. I do like Arizona. Um, I'm going with Wisconsin and Alabama from the East. So I will not be disappointed if I'm wrong. Let me just say that for the record.
There.
Yeah.
Same there.
So, all right. So back to you, LB. We're picking up with the West. What four you got
Yeah.
coming out?
Okay, start at the top here. I got Florida losing, so I got UConn coming out of
Oh
that
my.
bracket.
Oh my. Can we just hang
Yeah.
on a sec? He is crushing these number ones, Freddie.
Yeah, man. I just so I think I mean there is a lot of parity now. I mean, there are
Yeah.
guys that you never heard of on teams that you never heard of. And it's their time to shine. So, I'm as the kids say, I'm for it.
I
Great.
like it.
I want to see some upsets. I want to see some big dominoes fall. So I got Oregon. Of course, I got the Terps as an alum. Of course, I got the Terps coming
They're
out of
playing
there.
well.
They are. They're playing pretty good. If next down, I got Texas Tech and St. John's. I think St. John's is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. Although, I mean, they've been having a good season, and I don't know how much national pub they've got, but I think St. John's is going to surprise some people in this tournament.
I don't think it's a surprise. I don't see them sneaking up. They playing very well now and a very good. That's a good selection. Take me through your West, Freddie.
I picked Florida, who you can make a case that they've been one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Kansas, picked Texas Tech. That's another team that you can say that has been top 5 all season, right? Them, and then it came down to Memphis and St. John's. I went with Memphis because Penny. I think he's been building something for the past few years, and I think now is the time for him to cash those checks.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. This one I did not struggle with this one. Florida, like St. John's, to me, I think they're playing very well. I do think Freddie makes a good point though, and again, no shade against St. John's. I think Florida had a much tougher schedule. So for me, and also I want to see UConn lose early. I'm really tired of Hurley and all this demonstrative crying and all this nonsense and getting involved with fans and shit. Grow up, coach. Grow up, man. You won 2 in a row. I don't see them getting out of here. But that notwithstanding, Freddie, I'm going to take Florida. I am going with the Maryland Terrapins. I watched them lose a game the other day, that last game that I really thought they should have won.
Right. That's their problem. Their games, they cannot be within 2 or 3 points at the end. They got to have at least a 5-6 point lead, and then they'll win. But if it's
and they would have, yeah, right. I mean, that game was theirs to win, and they didn't. But I think that this road bodes well for Maryland there. Texas Tech, to your point, I like them. I think they're doing really well. I'm really surprised that Arkansas got in it because, as far as I'm concerned, Coach Cal had a negative record, but he beat some good teams, so no harm, no foul. And if somebody wearing these colors, last thing I'm gonna do is complain about anybody who made it in here because we did. So, but Kansas, I think, has had a tough road, tough season. I have zero faith. I'm sorry, in Bill Self on that team. So for me, my fourth team is going to be St. John's because I don't see Kansas getting out of there. So last one, going over to you, LB. We're going to the Midwest. Let me guess first. You got Houston losing? They're 1 seed.
No, I actually have Houston. I have Houston beating Gonzaga. I got Clemson, and I didn't even put the other team. I just got Clemson coming out facing Houston in the Sweet 16. I got Texas and Tennessee.
Over to you, Freddie. What you got in the Midwest, man?
Houston, another team that you could say arguably on the top 5 teams in the country all season. You could say them. I have Tennessee. I'm going with Clemson. And as much as I hate Clemson, I hate any team that has orange. I hate the University of Florida. I hate Clemson. I hate Miami. I hate all of them, right? But Clemson, if you paid attention to ACC basketball, Clemson, you could make an argument that they were the second best team between them and Louisville all season in the ACC, right? But I'm going to give Clemson the nod to get out, and then I'm going to go with Kentucky.
I got Houston. I really like what Coach Sampson is doing there. Clemson is one of those teams I talked about last week. They're playing really well and they're doing really well. Kentucky, I kind of like what's going on. They're still trying to get it together to take over that program and be where they are right now. I give them a lot of credit for that. And then Tennessee, I'm sorry, Freddie, I know they're orange, but I think they're going to at least get to the Sweet 16. Those are my four for the Midwest. And
I said Tennessee and Clemson, so I mean,
that's what I'm saying. For you to pick two oranges in that takes a lot, and I understand your disdain for them, but this tells me that you can be objective when I need you to be objective, and for that I am appreciative. So yeah, we went a little long. That's all I wanted. We're just doing Sweet 16. When we come back next week, we're going to give you our picks, who's going to win it all. We've got time to do that. Before we leave, let me check with the fellas and see if they've got something to say. Freddie, I'm going to start with you, buddy. You got something to say?
Yes, I have something to say, and I like that shirt, right? So the I have something to say goes to everyone who's talking about UNC basketball should not be in the tournament. Guess what? UNC made the NCAA tournament, right? They made the tournament, right? Then when you look at UNC's schedule, yep, they were 1-12 against quad one competition. But when you look at the competition, they had a very tough schedule. They played Duke 3 times, Alabama, Auburn, it's up Michigan State, Florida. Those are teams that could possibly win. And they lost to them. And guess what? Most of them, with the exception of Duke, they played them close. Stephen A. Smith said, sit your ass down. I say shut the hell up. And go
Fair enough.
I got something
LB,
to say.
you got something to say today, man?
No, I'm not even gonna follow that up. I'll let Freddie have the last word.
Not following up either. That will be the last word. I do hope for young Freddie's sake that we at least win this game that's going to start in about an hour. But just in case they're not, Nike sent me a bunch of these shooting shirts, so I got them for a lot of different teams. So if you see me repping a different team next week, it's because my guys are out. Wishing nothing but the best. Hopefully you guys got your brackets filled out. One thing I will say to Freddie's point is a lot of those prognosticators, that's what I call them, LB, the last 2 days, all they do is talk about this. They don't know any more than we do.
Exactly.
John Farnham and all those guys that are coming out saying it's a travesty and blah, blah, blah. It takes me back to 2011 when Jay Billis basically shit all over VCU for being in the field. VCU goes and gets to the Final Four.
Yep.
So at some point, these guys have to stop trying to exude this thing like they're smarter than us or anyone else. There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of skill involved. There's a lot of timing involved. We have to get past this thing of governors suing the NCAA and all of the ESPN crew taking baseball bats across UNC's knees. If UNC loses tonight, so be it.
Yep.
So be it. The field is set. You know what I mean? I just think they've done it so long that they believe, and go back and look at their records, LB. None of them get it right. Mm-hmm. Not even close. I mean, they lose just like we do.
Yep.
But they have to fill this airtime. So I'm so looking forward to Thursday, to Freddie's point, when they can just shut the hell up and we can just watch for the next couple of weeks. Because as soon as their brackets are busted, they can tune out. They've got nothing to say now. So I think this is one of the most exciting times of the year. I'm looking forward to it, starting with this game that starts in 50 minutes. So I'm going to bounce. Hope you guys have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll be back at it next week. We're out.